Good morning, morning to Lee Community Church and anyone else who's watching, or good afternoon, because the joy of online preachers is that you can watch it whenever you have the time. We are meeting again as a church on a Sunday morning, and everybody is so welcome to come. We are socially distancing and having a picnic and just spending a bit of time together. So if you want any more information on that, then please message our page and we'll give you the details. But that's been lovely just to get back together. So this morning I'm going to be talking about how great is your God, or our God. You know, how great do we realize how great and how big he is? Because this is something that every now and again I get this big revelation of how amazing and big and great our God is, and that's something I want to share with you this morning. So a while ago, I had this revelation of how big God is. I was praying for something and my mind was wandering a bit, and I was thinking, I don't know if he's going to answer this prayer, and maybe he's not interested in this little problem. It was just one of those things, your mind wanders and thinks, oh, well, I hope it happens, when you finish. And then God showed me this vision, and I'll share with you the picture that he gave me. So this is it. It's the picture of Abraham Lincoln. His statue stands in America, and it's quite a big statue. And I was stood at the base of this statue looking up in my vision. And this statue was Jesus. And he bent down and picked me up and held me, and then he put me against his chest. And his hands were massive, and I was so overwhelmed about how big he was, and there was just little old me against his chest and listening to his heart, and that statue isn't anywhere near as big as God is, but it was just this feeling of being overwhelmed about how small I was compared to this statue, and it was representing Jesus. So, but I'm not really talking about actual size, physical size. I think God wanted to show me this vision to talk about the greatness of him, and that he's big, and I subconsciously was putting limits on who he was and what he can do, and what he cares about as well. And he was showing me that he is overwhelmingly big, bigger than I can even imagine, but he wants just little old me to listen to his heart, and that's what the vision was about, and that was what was so important at that time. I think sometimes it's easy to put God in a box, as I said, about putting limits on what he can do, and limits based on what we can see and hear around us. I mean, in a way that's natural. We're only human. This is as big as what we can imagine. But we are also spiritual souls. And we can have faith. We can have faith in these bigger things. And God can do and wants to do more than we can possibly imagine. I read a quote, and unfortunately, I'm not sure who said it, and I can't find it again. So, but it wasn't me, but it really caught my attention, and it said, "How much greater is the God we have than the one we think we have? How much greater is the God we have than the one we think we have?" And that is kind of the basis of what I want to talk about today, because it was like, whoa, let's not put limits on him and what he can do. He wants to do these amazing things, and I think sometimes that's a case of us being able to let go and let him do those things and really put our faith in him for how amazing, how great he is that he can do this. So reading from Isaiah 55 verse 8 to 9, it says, "My thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, said the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts." He doesn't think like us. We must have a big view of God and a big faith to go along with it. God can do more than you can imagine, and he wants us to know who he is and what he's done and what he can do. He's not like us. He doesn't think like us. He is forever faithful, forever present, and forever love. He is love. He won't let you down. Actually, I believe that there are some people listening this morning that actually need to know that. He won't let you down. Don't put him in this box of other humans, of people who have let you down before. I think knowing how big he is and everything else, you need to let your guard down with him and bring him closer than you've ever let anyone before, because he's not like others. He won't let you down, and we need to let go and give him full authority over our lives, and depend on him and open our hearts to him. Let him lead us and let him change us. I mean, some people I know are still struggling with the same problems they've had for years because they're not letting him in, and myself included, but sometimes not being vulnerable enough with him. But we can open our hearts. I believe this is about opening our hearts to him, letting him lead us, because he is bigger than we imagine, and he can do far more than what we imagine. And these problems and things that we've had hanging around for years, or situations that we're in, he's bigger than that. He can handle that. So I would like to read Psalm 139. Get my Bible. Verses 1 to 10, because this is a beautiful psalm, but it is about how great he is. O Lord, you have searched me and you know me. You know when I sit and when I rise. You perceive my thoughts from afar. You discern my going out and my lying down. You are familiar with all my ways. Before a word is on my tongue, you know it completely, O Lord. You hem me in, behind and before. You've laid your hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me, too lofty for me to attain. Where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I go up to the heavens, you're there. If I make my bed in the depths, you are there. If I rise on the wings of the dawn, if I settle on the far side of the sea, even there your hand will guide me. Your right hand will hold me fast. I'm going to stop there, but the rest of that psalm's lovely. David in that psalm was acknowledging how big God is and praising this God. He knew he could stand before God and there was nothing God didn't know about him. God had searched him and he knew him as an individual. He knew just when he sat down and when he stood up. It's like having God there. God is there all the time. He knew every little bit. He could perceive his thoughts from afar. He knew all his thoughts. And that, yeah, it's a little bit scary in a way, but you know, that's how great he is. He knows all your thoughts, so why not open him up and let him in? But you know, it also talks, this psalm, about this protective nature of God. So he's this amazing God who's so big, he knows absolutely everything about you. But this God hems you in front and behind. He's there. He's around you. He's it's too big to understand. Even David said in the psalm, it's too lofty for him to attain. This God who knows him is everywhere. He knows every little bit about him, but he's hemming him in front and behind. And where can he flee from his spirit? God is absolutely everywhere. He is with him wherever he goes. And we can't escape God's love. It can reach us at all times and in all places. We're not too far away or too deep in our sin for God to reach us, or in too much of a dark place. God is still there. God is with us, and he wants to help us to love him, to love others, to do ministry, to make disciples of all nations. Everything. He wants to strengthen us to do things that we can't do alone. This big God is everywhere, but he wants a relationship with you. And And it's a lot to imagine, but I think this is what is so important to try and grasp. You know, if we have a God this big, then what can we fear? God is bigger than our circumstances, our fears, our plans, our ambitions, everything. But he wants to do beyond more than what we could ask or imagine. Psalm 121. I'd like to read the whole verse, actually. The whole psalm. Yeah, I will. I'll read the whole psalm. I love psalms. It said, I lift my eyes to the hills. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. The maker of heaven and earth. He will not let your foot slip. He who watches over you will not slumber. Indeed, he who watches over Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord watches over you. The Lord is your shade at your right hand. The sun will not harm you by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord will keep you from all harm. He will watch over your life. The Lord will watch over your coming and going, both now and forevermore. Wow. But I was only going to read verses 1 to 2, but I just love that whole psalm. But that first bit, he's the maker of heaven and earth. You know, I heard a quote. Oh, I don't know who that was. No, I can't remember. But it was something like, this person was saying that the universe was just a thought of God. So this is trying to think about how big he is. The universe, which is so huge and so far reaching, was just a thought, was a thought of God. He imagined it up and it came into being. Wow. So he's the maker of heaven and earth, but you know, it was like, you know, that's what I'd like. Let there be light, and there was light. Wow. It blows my mind. But this maker of heaven and earth, this big God, he wants to help you. And he wants to be with you, and he wants a relationship with you. There's this song that I like, and actually I'm going to post it in the comments again, and it would be lovely if after this or at some time you could just listen to this song while you're soaking and praying to God. But it's called God, I Look to You. And the beginning part says, God, I look to you. I won't be overwhelmed. Give me vision to see things as you see. God, I look to you. You're where my help comes from. Give me wisdom. You know just what to do. And that's the bit that I love from that song. It's I look to you because, you know, I need your vision. I need your wisdom. You know, that's always my prayer when I'm praying to him. I don't want to be overwhelmed by this. And I want to let his greatness, his bigness overshadow my situation. And then, yeah, I need his wisdom and his vision on the situation, because I know then I can get through it. Let us never lose sight of how big and powerful and loving our God is. Just when we think we've got it, when we think we know, let him show you he's even bigger still. If we think that God has taken us as far as he can take us in our faith, let him take you further still. If we think we've gotten to the best of our job or our situation or anything else, let him take you further still, because he can and he will. If we think we've messed up again and we need mercy again, or his provisions run out and, you know, this is the best that we're going to get, let him take you further still. Yeah. How much greater is the God we have than the one we think we have? I want to leave you with this verse. It's from Ephesians chapter 3, verses 18 to 19. It says, and may you have the power to understand, as all God's people should, how wide, how long, how high, and how deep his love is. May you experience the love of Christ, though it's too great to understand fully. Then you'll be made complete with all the fullness of life and power that comes from God. Amen.